years old, had 4 interceptions last season. And now what does this mean for Kevin Byard? Well, to me, it means likely he is not going to be back as a Chicago Bear. The Bears elect to go with someone a little bit younger, still that championship caliber mentality, obviously coming from Seattle, and a little bit more position flexibility. Plays a lot of free safety, can also play up in the box. Kevin Byard, 32 years old, was just a free safety at his age.
Yeah, 26 years old, and when you look at the tape, he's got really good ball instincts as well. And again, he just got done playing in the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks. I got a text from one scout that says he can play in so many different positions, and I imagine when he gets the chance to work with Al Harris, we could be seeing a true breakout season from him.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Also waiting to see where Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker end up.
Oh, and Bears continue to add to their defense, signing linebacker Devin Bush to a 3-year, $30 million deal. I really like this, Cassie, because let's talk about it. Tremaine Edmonds, yes, he is a good player, but I think Devin Bush will fit just the system here better here. And also, this defense really needed some speed, and Devin Bush will provide that for you.
Yeah, 4.4 speed, which is what's so exciting. And I think when they drafted Ruben Hippolyte last year, that's when you really started to know that Dennis Allen likes those fast linebackers. Devin Bush is going to bring that. Top 10 pick in 2019. Yeah. You love that he has that former caliber coming out of college. 125 tackles, 3 interceptions last season. 2 of them he ran back for a pick 6. Now in the quarterback room, they are going to bring back Case Keenum on a 2-year, $5.5 million deal. This is something that I love because you know the Bears quarterback room works so well. Tyson Bagent has been involved in some trade talks. I still think this means the Bears want to keep their 3 quarterbacks in the room because of how each role played out last season. Case Keenum, 38 years old, entering his 15th season. He was going to retire before last season until he sat down with Ben Johnson and loved his vision. And the reality is he's more of a coach at this point than he is a quarterback. And the ear that he's in Caleb Williams' ear, teaching him the ropes of this offense.
100%. And I'd imagine for the Bears and for Ben Johnson, this was a top priority to bring back Case Keenum because of just the veteran presence he had. And as you said, he's like really a coach for these guys. Also, too, in a smaller move, they add a rotational piece to the interior of their defensive line. The Colts to the Bears pipeline continues with the signing of Neville Gallimore. This goes with re-signing linebacker DeMarco Jackson to a 2-year, $7.5 million deal, up to $10.5 million as well, Cassie.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that this was just in that the Bears re-signed left tackle Braxton Jones to a 1-year deal. We know with Ozzie Trapilla, who's going to be out deep into next season, dealing with that knee injury that takes a long time to rehab from. The Bears need some options at left tackle. Who knows if Braxton Jones is going to be the only option they have available, but in the first day of free agency, they're going to bring him back for another season. There are some former Bears on the move. Tremaine Edmonds goes to the Giants, Olamide Zaccheaus to the Falcons, and Dominique Robinson to the Texans.
Also worth noting, the NFL released compensatory picks rewarded this season, and the Bears did not receive any. A little surprise at this on my end, Cassie. I don't know about you.
I mean, it was interesting that both Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham came out at the NFL Combine and publicly said they felt like the Bears deserved those 2 third-round compensatory picks. They had conversations with the league, but the league has the Rooney Rule written how it is right now. Maybe it forces them to look at the verbiage that is in the Rooney Rule, but the Bears not going to receive any picks at all. Trey Hendrickson, the top free agent, still on the market at the edge rusher position. Lions released left tackle Taylor Decker. That is someone who is familiar playing for Ben Johnson. So this is only just the beginning of free agency. I caught up with FS1's Danny Parkins to react to the Bears' early moves.
It's a nice piece. He has some cornerback in his background, but then, has moved to safety. He's pretty good ball skills for that player. Bryant is pretty versatile. So I could, you can play him down at the line of scrimmage. He can be a free safety type. He can kind of do both things. And so it'll be interesting to see how Dennis Allen wants to deploy him. They clearly have a plan given the money invested.
Something about the Colts and the Bears. It's like every free agency, there's some pipeline. Last year it was Dio Odengbo. This year it's Gallimore. In the past it was, Al-Qadim Muhammad. There's always these players coming from Indy to the Bears. We know that the Bears could address the defensive tackle position. 3.5 sacks last year on the interior, but mainly just a run stopper is what they're looking for in this guy, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully he's better than the other 2 that you mentioned. But this is a very small investment. Depth piece, rotation. Dexter and Pickens have not quite lived up to the hype. Grady Jarrett arguably did not even live up to the hype last year from what you were trying to get. But this is a position that gets injured a lot. that you have to play a lot of guys, you have to rotate a lot of guys in over the course of a 17-game season and over the course of 4 quarters of a single game. So I don't think this is one that's going to light up the phone lines at my old place of employment at the Score. I think this is just like a body on the team who will make the team and is going to be a rotational piece. But we better not be talking about him as like one of the keys to the upcoming season for the Bears.
Tyler Linderbaum signs a massive deal with the Raiders. It's going to be 3 years, $81 million, becomes the highest paid center. The Raiders obviously have the #1 overall pick. They're projected to take quarterback Fernando Mendoza. Do you like the fact that the Bears traded for their center, bringing in someone like Garrett Bradbury last week? He's played 6 years in the division with the Vikings. He's goes to the Super Bowl with a young quarterback in Drake May with the Patriots last year, rather than overpaying for a position, which we know that it's important in Ben Johnson's offense.
Listen, I think that if you got Linderbaum, it's a bigger cause of celebration. Like everybody with the Patriots was like, Garrett Bradbury was fine. Like that's not exactly a ringing endorsement. But if you're not talking about him, it means he is doing an adequate job. Now, maybe in New England, they were just more focused on the left side of their offensive line, which was a much bigger problem for them. I think that the Bears have some glaring issues on their team, but you can't have a perfect team. So just because Dahlman retired, I don't think that means you then go pay more than $20 million a year to the top center available. Like you need pass rush help. You need left tackle help. I don't think the biggest move of the offseason has happened yet. But that doesn't mean that it's going to happen in free agency. That might mean that they trade for a player with their extra picks, or it might mean that they trade up in the draft and take a swing for a premium piece. So, I don't know where it's going to come, but I will be surprised if Kobe Bryant is the biggest addition of the offseason. I think that when you have a star quarterback on his rookie deal who is aligned with his coach, that is the time when you are supposed to take big swings before you have to pay him. And so I'm hopeful that the McCaskey family will greenlight that amount of cash being spent. I assume that they will.
What'd you think about the Bears getting a 2nd-round pick in return for DJ?
I think like most people, I was pretty happy with the return. Like you got to be careful though with that analysis. Like the 2nd-round pick is great, but the Bears do not get better losing DJ Moore. Like DJ Moore, like, we can't say like he's going to be the #1 for Josh Allen in a team that's going to be one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl, but the Bears didn't need him. Like it was just a question of, do the Bears need to allocate those resources to a different place? And I think the answer to that clearly is yes. So, you got to hit on the pick. The other guys have to continue to develop. But, to get a top 60 pick for a guy who you didn't really want to pay is a pretty great deal.
And as we mentioned before, just in the last 10 minutes, the Bears are re-signing Braxton Jones to a 1-year deal. The details are, according to reports, it is worth $10 million. Again, it gives them an option whether or not he is going to start or not, but some depth at left tackle.
Well, Dan Rochar said a few weeks ago that the guys that they have on the roster, they all have characteristics, right, of left tackle, but they need to be consistent about it. All right, we need to take a timeout here. We turn our attention to baseball. MLB.com Scott Merkin gets us up to speed on the White Sox when we come back here on Chicago Sports Tonight.
GameSpot.com.
Welcome back to CST. 16 days till opening day, and in year 2 under Will Venable, the White Sox continue to show progress in the spring. Sox coming into the season with plenty of buzz, especially with the addition of Japanese slugger Munetaka Murakami. Scott Merkin gives us the latest from Glendale.
The vibes have been great. That's one thing that's been noticed across the board, even by, visiting reporters or TV people. Jake Peavy was just in town the other day with MLB Network, and Jake's played with the White Sox for a few years and was a fixture with the White Sox and has been on World Series teams, has been an ace on other teams, and was first of all raving about Will Venable. He played with Will Venable in San Diego. So raving about what a great hire Will Venable is, and I think we all agree on that. He is the perfect co-pilot. I've used this phrase a lot, to Chris Getz. Chris has found the guy to kind of run this show with towards success and what they hope is sustained success in division titles. There really is an energy about this group. This group likes each other. They play well together, but ultimately you got to win games together, right? It's not the goal to have a really fun team that wins 66 games, right? You'd rather have maybe a little more edginess and win 75, 80. So we'll see how they kind of develop into a winning force. But a lot of the veterans on that team, I was just talking to Miguel Vargas about this the other day, have talked about they learned from the first half to the second half how to win these games. So we'll see how they apply that moving forward.
Andrew Benintendi said something that really stood out to me. And Benintendi is a veteran, right? He's been in the league for a few years, but he said he really believes that this team this year could surprise some people and maybe make some noise. Do you agree with that?
I think they could, but I think you'd have to define what surprise is, right? Is surprise winning a World Series title, is surprise winning the division, or a surprise
not losing 100 games? Not losing 100 games.
Yeah, that would be. I think Chris is hoping at the baseline that's the case, Chris Getz, because even in a rebuild, you do not want to go 4 straight years losing 100 games, especially when one of them was 121 losses. I'm sorry, 120 losses. I've done it twice now. So, anyways, I think. They could, if things really lined up perfectly, if the young guys continue developing, if the guys they're going to add from the system during the year, Noah Schultz, Hagen Smith, Tanner McDougal, Braden Montgomery, Sam Antonacci, if they come up and give the team life and give that team that little extra, yeah, I think they could, depending on what the division looks like. Detroit's an awfully good team and maybe has the best starting rotation in baseball right now, or one of the best starting rotations in baseball, but with 83 to 86 wins, can you hang in the third wild card spot like Miami did at the end of last year? Miami had a strong finish where Derek Showman was the assistant hitting coach, who's now the hitting coach for the White Sox. And, they made that jump. We saw Kansas City a few years ago, Matt Quatraro's second year, go from 56 wins the year before to the playoffs. Now, of course, they have Bobby Witt Jr., which is a great equalizer to a lot of rebuilds. The Sox have some very good players. They don't have Bobby Witt Jr. So I think Andrew knows. He's played on a World Series team, as I was saying to you earlier. He's been with this team through some really lean times, and I think he's seen these young guys develop. He's been part of that process, helping them develop. And I wouldn't, I think if things really go right, yeah, I think they could be a team that could maybe sneak in there and make a little noise this season.
How have you seen some of these young guys maybe handle all the media attention that not only Mooney's getting, but the whole team's getting because of Mooney?
Braden Montgomery has been great this spring training. And I thought of him because of that question, because he had a home run and a triple. He had a homer off Shota at Sloan Park and then tripled later in the game. And he talked to us for about 6 or 7 minutes after that. It was tremendous. And he gave a great line that we all kind of perked up on when one of the writers asked him, your goal is to get to the majors. And he said, my goal is to be a Hall of Famer. So, that's a great media catch line right there. I'm sure that's his goal. It's every player's goal, right? But he wants to be the best. He said that he, started wanting to be a baseball player when he watched Derek Jeter. And then about 10 or 11, he knew he wanted to be the best that ever played. And that's a good goal. At 10 or 11, I don't know what the heck I was doing, but I'm not sure I was hoping to be the best ever at that. But I think I was hoping to get to 12 or 13. But he's been great. And he's, I think they're all handling it well. I think it's different now, Tina, because there's so much coverage on prospects now, and not just prospects. How many times a week do you see stories about Rock Chalowski, who could be, I don't know this for a fact, who could be the number 1 pick overall by the Sox in the draft? You never had that in the old days. And now there's actual major coverage of the prospects through our great MLB pipeline, Baseball America, Future Sox. There's so much out there. these guys are used to media attention before they get to the major league level. But they've handled it very well. And Braden was an example that just came to my mind.
From what we hear and have read, he is one of the most prolific hitters in Japan. And what else have you learned about him throughout his time in Arizona? I know he's with the Team Japan right now for WBC.
Yes, he is. He's got a good sense of humor from talking to the players. He's talkative. I learned from talking to him after a game in Scottsdale that he's very process oriented. He has a very strict regimen, and that includes diet. And his cheat food is ramen noodles. So cheat food, that would be like most people's health food, and that's his cheat food. I asked him, "Do you ever eat pizza?" Nope. Sweets, sugar? No on both those. So he's very process directed, and that's the sign of a lot of great players I've covered. A lot of great players I've covered, hitters as an example, whether they're 0 for 20 or 10 for 20, they don't change things. They believe in what they have. They tweak things, but they don't make wholesale changes. They don't say, "Oh my God, I'm 0 for 20. I got to switch everything around." They say, "No, this is a slump. It's a long season. I'm going to get it right." And I think he's good about that. He's a tireless worker. The Sox have talked about that. They gave him things to do, and he went beyond that. And he kind of, shrugged that off and said, "I'm just trying to win here. I'm trying to be, a good player here." And I just think it's they won a World Series in 2005 with Tadahito Oguchi at second base and Shingo Takatsu starting the year as the closer. They both have been at camp. They're both in the Japanese media now. They both have been there to see Munetaka and the Dodgers people, of course. But even with them winning World Series, Murakami is the biggest player they've had from Japan. And it just opens up so much in that, Pacific Rim market for them. Just not even just in terms of players, future players, but just in terms of interest, because he really is a big name over there. I think their single season home run leader, right, when he had 55 one year. He's a standout. He is, I've said, player earning the most notoriety on the Sox since Tim Anderson in like his all-star batting title stalk-off game in Iowa prime. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles it as the year goes on, because, he won't be perfect. He's going to have his slumps and his highs and lows, but I think he's in a good place to handle it all as he gets there.
How have you seen him adjust and get acclimated, to America, but also inside this clubhouse with some of the guys?
Yeah, I think the guys have really worked on that. I know Miguel Vargas was great. As you talked to him, he's such a easygoing, kind of fun dude, and he's a very good player too on top of it. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who Vargas was teammates with the Dodgers, called him before the season started when they signed Murakami and said, "This is my guy. He's going to be great. He's a great dude. Watch out for him. Take care of him." And Vargas has done that. Vargas's locker is separated just by the interpreter, Kenzo Yagi. So they've talked quite a bit. They've worked out together at first and third. But I think everyone has made the effort. He joked about, Mune joked about Chase Mydroth was the guy who is always asking for more Japanese words to learn and that kind of thing. So I think just like everyone on this team, they've tried to make him fit in and just a part of this group that has a common goal together.
What about the bidet? Do we know if there are multiple bidets there for them to use? I think it was one of the players that were also wondering themselves, like, how many do we get? Is it one or is it going to be multiple? Some hard-hitting journalism questions to end this.
Yeah, after 24 years of covering baseball and probably 45 years of journalism, that I would be the bidet beat writer, but that's what it's come down to at this point. But Davis Martin had a great line. Davis, when I wrote a story about that, having a little fun, where he said, are we just going to have one if we're using it? He comes in and he needs it. Do we have to move? There will be more than one. There will be plenty in there. And, Mune got a big kick out of being asked that question. And he said, "We use too much toilet paper, so you got to have it." So I think there will be a plethora of them in the White Sox clubhouse. There's none in the Camelback Ranch clubhouse, but I think there will be numerous ones added to the White Sox clubhouse.
And
not sure about press box, but definitely in the clubhouse.
Scott Merkin, thank you so much for the time. I always appreciate you joining us here at Fox Chicago.
Thanks for having me, Tina. I appreciate it.
And there's more WBC action tonight on Fox. Catch USA and Mexico first pitch at 7 p.m. Still to come, the Big Ten basketball tournament takes over the United Center this week. I catch up with two-time Big Ten scoring champ Nick Martinelli ahead of Northwestern's hopeful run. That's coming your way next on Chicago Sports Tonight.
Chicago.
Welcome back. The Big Ten tournament takes over the United Center this week. Northwestern enters this week's Big Ten tournament as the 15 seed, taking on 18 seed Penn State tomorrow in Game 2. And despite a tough season, senior Nick Martinelli has been dominant. He set a new single-season scoring record at Northwestern, surpassing his own, and he's led the Big Ten in scoring back-to-back seasons. I caught up with the senior ahead of his hopeful run in the conference tournament.
Just cherishing these last moments together. I've talked to a ton of the guys, it's been a amazing 4 years, and I've been given so many and provided so many opportunities by this program. Just trying to pay it back as well as I could. I know the season hasn't been, these past 2 seasons haven't been what they've wanted, but I'm just grateful, and I hope everybody knows that in this building.
What emotions do you have going to the United Center? I mean, you get to play at home some of your last college basketball games. Like, that doesn't get to happen to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a lot of basketball games at home, in front of my family. So, yeah, it's just been such a blessing. And, yeah, I'm excited. I have a decent amount of people coming to support tomorrow, and hopefully we can make a little run here.
Originally, when you were committed to Elon, and then you switched to Northwestern, and the thought process you had going into your freshman year, did you ever expect that you'd be sitting in this position, being a 2-time scoring champ, like all eyes are on you, the Big Ten's leading scorer, like all the accolades that you've been a part of? No
one can really tell where they're going to be in 4 years, but I did know one thing, that I was going to keep working my butt off for 4 years. That's a promise that I had to make to myself, because it's not easy. When I got here, man, was it difficult. And just even now, still continuing to practice as hard as you can when you've done the same things over and over for 3 years. It's a mental battle, and obviously it's physically taxing, 4 years of, grinding here. But, as I said, it's a blessing to, have limbs and have all these gifts that God's provided for me. So
what has Chris meant to you in all this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to put into words, just our relationship. Yeah, I mean, he obviously has been so hard on me, and at the same time, he could really flip the switch and, be that father figure. I'm really close with his son. So, like, we obviously, and our parent, like, my mom's friends with her mom, like, or his wife. And, it's just like it's just a family feeling. Like, I have that feel where, like, I could always pop over to his house and, like, we can just talk, or, like, I can go up to his office and we can just chat about life. And then at the same time, you miss a game winner and he's not happy about that. You miss a defensive assignment and he's going to rip into you like, he's never met you before. And that's the type of coach that I want to play for, is somebody that, even though, he knew this year that I was going to have the role that I was, that I had last year, and he still coached me just as hard, honestly, harder than he's ever coached me. And yeah, that's just testament to him. It's hard to, he's seen my face for 3 years and he's still continuing to push.
What does it mean to you to be a Northwestern Wildcat?
It's a special place. But, I've obviously been blessed with the opportunity. Sometimes people come here and they don't have the best experience. That's life. That's basketball. It happens on every team. I just, happen to really click with the coaches and my teammates, and they liked, just my will to win and will to, constantly be in the gym and work on my game. And, I've just been blessed with the opportunities. My freshman year, I wouldn't have been in any of those games if it weren't for injuries. That's just the reality of it. So, yeah, it's all opportunity. And, the opportunity presented at this school, it's unbelievable. You're talking about, a top 10 institution, and you're also getting to play in the, highest level of basketball possible, in my opinion, this in the SEC. So, yeah, I mean, it's just been a blessing. I can't even, that's all I can really say about it, a blessing.
Tip-off between Northwestern and Penn State is slated for 6:30 tomorrow night. Meantime, Illinois is the 4 seed. They have a triple bye until Friday's quarterfinals.
All right. I'm excited about Illinois. It's March. Magical things happen. I know they haven't been great down the stretch. Watched their game yesterday against Maryland. Defense finally showed up in the second half, but I think it's March. They're going to step up, and I'm going to say Brad Underwood's team is going to make a run.
We taught her well. ILL, Tina.
I.
That's going to do it for us on Chicago Sports Tonight. It's been a busy day of free agency. For Tina Nguyen, I'm Cassie Carlson. We'll see you back here tomorrow for First and North.